Okay, so first, thanks everyone who's starting to join this live stream of the unboxing of Leviathan Wilds. I just received this in the mail a couple days ago, and um, before I start the unboxing, I always like to do a little bit of some background. So if you will indulge me as I do that, Leviathan Wilds is, as you can see, um, a Kickstarter project that funded now a little under a year ago. And I say that because I think it's surprising that this game actually arrived within a year. I think most Kickstarter games always seem to take almost 2 years, if not more, or crowdfunding games, I should say, take at least 2 years, if not more. The original promise date was the um, the original promise date was February of 2024. But honestly, the fact that this still arrived within a couple months of that, I think, is impressive. So, very surprised with the ability of this game to ship when it did. Now, what is Leviathan Wilds? It's, as described here, a solo co-op boss battling board game, and it's reminiscent of, the theme kind of pays homage to something like the Attack on Titan and the Shadow of Colossus video game. Both franchises I never really got into, but something that I remember watching as a kid was Fantasia. And in Fantasia, there's this one scene where Mickey Mouse comes across this giant creature, kind of demon-looking creature, which I had to Google this just before I started the live stream because I was like, what is the name of that thing? And its name's like Charaborg or something like that. And that creature then shows up in the first final Kingdom Hearts video game, where you fight as Sora, as the main character in the Kingdom Hearts computer game or video game for PlayStation 2. And you're trying to fight this giant demon type creature, and that type of theme always appealed to me. So this game, Leviathan Wilds, then looked very interesting because that's essentially what you're doing in the game, is taking down these giant monster type creatures. And what's cool about this game is, unlike a lot of other boss battlers, this one is very succinct. There's 15 scenarios that are included, and each scenario is a unique boss that's going to have different unique ways of defeating them, and it can be played from 1 to 4. So this game definitely can be played solitaire. But the other thing that really stood out to me was the price point. During the Kickstarter campaign, the core game was just $59, and today, in this day of age, to have a well-produced board game that's under $100 seems rare. So for $59, that also really attracted me to this game, and I pretty much pledged almost immediately. But there's also one other aspect about this game that, again, personally really made me want to back it, and that's the fact that this publishing company called Mooncrab Games is based in Minnesota, which is where I live, and we have a lot of great publishing companies here in Minnesota, including Fantasy Flight Games, Chip Theory Games, Floodgate Games, Adam's Apple Games, and there's a few others. I thought that was kind of another cool aspect about this game. And what they mentioned too is that they have a lot of guys that worked on games at Fantasy Flight, which isn't a surprise because, like I just said, Fantasy Flight's based here as well in Minnesota. And specifically the game Imperial Assault. And I bring that up because tomorrow is May the 4th, and I'm already preparing for that with my shirt here. And tomorrow, Talking Cardboard will be doing a live stream throughout the whole day, playing a lot of Star Wars games and having a discussion of our favorite top 5 Star Wars games. So definitely, like and subscribe to our channel so you get notified when we go live for that. That should be a lot of fun. Without further ado, though, I'll let you guys on your own time explore this campaign on your on your own. I'm not going to go through every single aspect of this because what I really want to do is just open my own copy that I got, and I figured why not let everyone, why not let all of you watch me do that in case, this game looks exciting and is something that you may want to get a hold of yourself. Now, as you can see, I haven't even done the plastic yet. And while I'm struggling with this, I do want to point out that, again, I haven't really read that much into this game. And with that said, I really probably am not going to know what a lot of what I'm opening is. And that's fine for me because I'll eventually read through the rule book and everything. I know that might be kind of frustrating for some of you guys. And I'm just getting that out there that I really don't know much about this game other than what I've already just said at the start of this stream. So I apologize if you're expecting me to already be an expert in how this game plays and everything. I definitely hope to get it to the table soon. Hopefully with some of the others from Talking Cardboard. But again, I always make sure a game has a solo option so I don't need to rely on others playing the games that I like. So with that said, right away, one thing I'll say before I even really open up the contents of the box is the box itself is nice and sturdy, and I think the artwork is I like the artwork. I think it's novel. It's definitely got its own kind of theme to it. I don't know. I think it's eye catching. It's definitely well done. So I want to say that right off the bat, and. With that said, first thing out of the box is the rulebook here. Now, the rulebook is only 15 pages in length. So right there, that's kind of a sigh of relief for me because I have way too many games that take up enough time as it is. We'll kind of page through this quickly. You can see the the text in this rulebook is relatively large, so it's not like it's a very dense rulebook either, and it looks like there's a lot of graphics, which is nice. Hopefully those are helpful in explaining how the game plays. So, and looks like there are some unique aspects to the solo play. Again, I haven't read the solo or the rules in detail, so I'm not exactly sure how much nuance there is when playing solitaire. I originally assumed you just play as one character. Maybe there's a few other caveats to playing solo. And then the last couple pages are actually just keywords. So you could argue that it's really just a 12-page rulebook. And like I said, you can see it's not very dense. So that right there is refreshing in my mind. Next we have one token sheet here. And I'll put that over on the side so we can look at these in more detail. It looks like we have climber and class tokens, which is the majority of the tokens. I guess these little triangle, well, basically they look like the home base in baseball. These tokens are called mushroom tokens. These are all called scenario tokens, and then these are called focus tokens. So reading off those terms, they don't immediately mean much to me, but then we have this what's called the threat board, rage track. So I have to assume this kind of maybe serves as a timer in the game to kind of push the players to actually defeat the monster within a certain amount of time. And also maybe I'll just quick read the preface to the game, which is very, very short, just to kind of give you more of what's going on theme-wise. So in the rulebook, the overview says, long ago, the once gentle Leviathans lost their minds and tore the world apart. After generations of hiding and struggling, humanity discovered that the frenzied Leviathans could be restored. Climbers willing to take the risk must explore the wilds and work together to heal the Leviathans roaming the world. Leviathans is a 1-4 player boss battling board game about climbing and saving massive creatures. Using a spiral-bound scenario book, players climb, jump, and glide across 17 unique Leviathans, each with its own map and special rules. So I do need to retract a little bit of maybe what I was saying, that the Leviathans really aren't in this game bad per se. You're and I guess kind of helping them in a sense by defeating them. So, but that's obviously great. You know, I don't have a problem with that. So let's take out the what looks to be kind of the main scenario book with the different Leviathans. And I'll say spoiler alert because maybe you want to kind of explore these as you play through the game. So I apologize. Well, not apologize, but I'm letting you know I'm going to kind of show some pages of this now in case you aren't that interested or don't want to be spoiled by the types of Leviathans you'll face. But this first one is a giant looking turtle. This guy doesn't look too harmless. Actually looks like he'd be kind of fun to have around, or she. And names, I don't know if this is if the name of the creature is supposed to be Sage or if it's defining something else, but you can see all the different symbologies and kind of waypoints that I believe is how you move your character piece from one area to the next. So that's the first one. Second one, we actually have to turn, so that's kind of that's kind of cool that you actually, the orientation changes from Leviathan. Definitely a much kind of skinnier Leviathan. This one says Sentinel, and let's just look at one more here. This one's called Storm, and also, you know, a bunch of different array of iconographies and different patterns, of course, of how to move around the Leviathan. So so that's what, those are essentially the scenarios of the game. Next, let's take out these boards. Now, I will say right away, these things are fancy. I mean, it's not the first game ever to use dual layered. What do you want to call them? Well, let me say the exact term of what these are. Dual layered player boards. Well, that was simple enough. But nonetheless, this game does come with them, and they look very well done. I really appreciate the aesthetic that these player boards have. Gives you a nice overview of the actions you can take on your turn. Looks like kind of a health track at the bottom here. So that's really well done. There's not much more to say about that. I think these player boards are very cool. So also, let's take note of the organizer here. So I know some players, some gamers out there are anti-organizer, but if an organizer is done well for a game, I see no issue with an organizer if it's, you know, supposed to be a good organizer, which I think is the case here. It looks like everything has its own special spot in the box, and the fact this came with the game is phenomenal. So you didn't have to, as far, you know, I should say this is the Kickstarter game, a Kickstarter copy of the game, so I'm not 100% sure if anything that I'm showing is unique to the Kickstarter version. I'm going to assume not, but keep that in mind. Nonetheless, very well done organizer, as you can see. So let's I don't know, there's actually a lot of little trinkets in here to pick through. So let's take a look at these crown looking things. They're called attack markers. So you know, kind of a unique little piece that you get 2 of these in the game. Then we have a variety of cards, and it looks like you have threat cards. Well, a lot of different, I'll just show you guys. A lot of different types of cards. So there's climber cards and class cards, which I assume are kind of the cards that the players will be using. And then there's these threat cards and story cards, which I imagine are the cards that the Leviathans will be using to make them slightly asymmetrical from each other. So let me try to quickly open this pack of cards up to give you some examples of what they look like. So so let's see. I don't know if they all have the exact same number of cards, but we'll just take a look at the giant turtle dude named Sage. So Sage has a looks like they kind of have this little, yeah, it looks like they have like a unique little story for each Leviathan just to provide some theme. So they have an introduction on one side and then conclusion on the other. And then it looks like, yeah, I mean, it looks like as you're playing each of these Leviathans, they're going to be actually doing things turn to turn based on the cards that they're drawing here. And I will assume, as you can see, there's a top and bottom. I'm going to quick try to confirm my assumption while in the rule book here, but the threat cards show how the Leviathan is going to attack or harm you, but the effect does not resolve until later in the turn. Each start card has a normal end, so normal is the top purple. Yeah, the top is purple, which is normal, and the other end is called enraged. So, depending on the state of the Leviathan, you're either going to be resolving this top or the bottom side of the threat cards. So I will assume each of the Leviathans have very different abilities that you'll be trying to deal with as the game progresses, or as you fight against each of these different Leviathans. So that's really cool. And so that's, I think all the cards that I was just looking through there were the different Leviathans. Let's open up this other pack of cards to see what's inside here. And something I don't think I said yet, but it looks like there's 8 different playable characters. It says 8, judging, looking at the rule book, there's 8 climber figures that are provided. So I assume that equates to 8 different playable characters, which I will imagine are all very unique. So we have more of these Leviathan cards. And then we have the climber cards and class cards. So here we have, oops, sorry guys. Hit harder. Apply 2 to your strike. Back in my day, any climber may climb 1. So it looks like these are unique to the different, these cards are unique to the different climbers or players that you can, or characters that you can play as, to provide some asymmetry amongst the different climbers. And you know, these kind of, as you can imagine, relate to that matrix system of movement that's on the Leviathan. So it yeah, I mean, definitely looks like there's a lot of unique climbers that you can play as, which adds to the replayability. So not only, of course, you have the 17 actually, so maybe a couple were added as Kickstarter stretch goals. 17 different Leviathans, and then 8 different climbers. So you can imagine all the different combinations you could have in terms of replayability. So I think that's really cool. All right, so and